if we want to talk about drafting certain types of players, right? I think on the field performance matters. I think the tape matters. And let's just get more specific. When we talk about an interior defensive lineman, you are looking for a game wrecker with the 6th overall pick, right? You're looking for a guy to bring in day one, and he's going to play significant snaps and produce day one. That's the expectation, okay? Cool. Well, the Jalen Carter Pro Day obviously has turned a lot of heads. Some people are still on board, some people are off. But I would like to share with you about 1.5 to 2 minutes of how a young man shows up and nails their Pro Day interviews and how you handle yourself on and off the field. Alex, if you don't mind, you can go ahead and throw it up on the screen. Alex, hello? What are you looking at me like that for?
What did you want? Sorry.
Jesus Christ. All right. If you don't mind, let's throw up the Calijah Kancey Pro Day conversation, please. Thank you very much.
Disappointed. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't know. We got to see. They got to call my name.
Did you meet with the Steelers yet? Or are you planning to meet with them at some point?
I didn't meet with the Steelers.
Are you going to?
No, sir.
When teams talk to you about, like, you know, when they ask questions about your height and how you overcome that, what do you tell them about the things that you can put together that make height not matter? The height is, it don't matter to me, honestly. Playing defensive tackle, you got to play with great pad level. No defensive lineman play at 6'7". I mean, you gotta bend at the point of attack. You got to play with good footwork, good pad level, or you're gonna get moved around. So I feel like my height don't have nothing to do with me playing that position.
Calijah, what are your plans on draft day? Do you have any? Are you going to the draft, or are you watching back home with family?
If I get invited to Kansas City, I'm definitely going. If not, I'll figure it out from there.
Calijah, you finished the last 2 games of the season with a shoulder injury. You didn't play those last 2. I mean, having to battle back from that on top of having to prepare for this NFL draft process. I mean, how much more of a problem was that for you, and how do you feel like you were able to overcome that shoulder injury?
I think it was just a little bump in the road. I know I had to hurry up and recover, focus on the shoulder. That was the main priority. If I wasn't healthy, then I wouldn't even be in this position now. So I had to put more work into get my shoulder together.
What do you want NFL teams to know about you?
I'm a great football player, great leader. I'm a guy that you could depend on.
Calijah, what was this day like for you to have this with your teammates and have your old teammates cheering you on?
I think it was fun. We all came in, competed. We had fun. We had our older teammates just cheering for us and being there, and I think it was great. We're back home on South Side where we're comfortable.
Do you have any memories?
Wow. Hey, Jeff, what do you want NFL teams to know about you? That I'm a hard worker and I'm a leader.
That's typically what you want in your defensive line room.
Do you know what Jalen Carter answered at his pro day?
Oh, God.
That I'm a fat fuck.
No, he didn't.
Who went 89 and a 45. That's what Jalen Carter answered.
I don't think he did that.
Job interviews don't matter. They matter to me. This idea that this guy needs to be the biggest and the strongest to be effective in the NFL is just a complete lie.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he broke it down beautifully. I think he answered all the critics himself. His production speaks for itself. His explosion off the line of scrimmage. And like he said, it's about pad level, man. You don't sit there and stand straight up in the NFL and play defensive tackle. You are fighting a battle getting as low as possible to gain leverage. And if there's one thing this kid knows about, is how to gain leverage. Why? He doesn't have the longest arms. That is a fact. I get it.
So doesn't Aiden.
So doesn't Aaron Donald. But here we are. I'm not going to let the short arms or the idea that you want the name so bad that it's Jalen Carter talk me out of this kid's not going to be really good in the NFL. You hear that? Anybody talk about his shoulder injury all off season? Anybody? Did anybody say how his shoulder could be holding him back in his pro day or the combine? I didn't hear anything. He worked his ass off and got himself in shape. Made sure he was ready. Oh, and he was. And the guy who wasn't injured showed up 9 pounds overweight. And because I'm asking for the third best, or excuse me, the third highest, not third, I apologize, the 4th highest rated defensive lineman in the NFL draft. Because I'm asking for the 4th highest rated at 6. Likely because 2 will be gone in the top 5. Depends. We'll see what happens with Arizona and Seattle. That's a reach. I'm reaching on that kid. Really? That's how you handle yourself. That's how you talk. That's how you answer the bell. And there was so much more. And I wish I could sit here and literally play the whole 5-minute video. I would enjoy it. That's how you handle an interview.
Yeah.
That's how you handle a pro day. That's how you show up and double down on, hey, I had a good combine. Watch this.
Well,
Look,
him talking.
You guys don't have to agree. Again, I'm not forcing you. You don't have to agree with me about Kancey at 6. But we can cut the shit on this kid being one of the best defensive prospects coming out in this draft.
Him talking about leverage, pad level, bendability. I mean, you look at even a guy like James Houston, who Lions fans absolutely love, who had 8 sacks in 7 games, 6'1".
Lions fans.
But a lot of it was his leverage, his bendability. Like Calijah Kancey, to me, looking at his height, you know, whatever it is, his arm length, that does not, it's not a concern to me. For people saying draft him at 18, that's the risk. Will he be there at 18? I don't think so.
He won't be.
So that kind of poses a question. Do you stay put, take him at 6? You trade back and try and get him? To me, it's not as easy as just wait till 18 to draft him. I don't think he'll be there. So I'm with you, Adam. This kid is he's special.
I love
he
the
has
kid.
to go. He has to go top 15 at the max.
I love the kid. He was uber productive at Pitt. You guys can talk all you want. The reality is there's no such thing as reaching and getting the pick right.
What about Josh S? WoodwardSports.com. I'd rather miss on him at 18 than take him at 6.
You'd rather miss on him at 8. So you think he's going to miss?
No, he'd rather wait till 18. If he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's not, rather than overdraft him at 6.
And what happens when you miss on Carter? Then what? Since we're going to play the if scenario. What happens if you miss on Carter? What happens if you miss on Carter and the kid with all the intangibles, checks all the boxes, handles himself like a pro, humble, quiet, a leader on and off the field? What happens if he's an all-pro defensive tackle in 3 years?
Well, then you're going to look back and say we should have taken Calijah Kancey.
This is a risk either way, taking Kancey and Carter. I'm very aware of that.
Right.
But don't play the what-if game with me.
Now, I'm still on the Carter train, but I understand the obsession with Calijah Kancey. I think it's easy to fall in love with him. His mentality, the way he speaks, how he approaches the game, his productivity, position of need. The Lions need a defensive tackle.
We talked yesterday, right? And we said, hey, isn't it odd that Brad Holmes has been very quiet on all the defensive tackles and that position in general leading up in this process, and that they haven't paid any attention to it? It's all been Jalen Carter. It's been other positions. Does anybody find that odd? You listen to the kid at his pro day. You tell me that's not a Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes player. Tell me.
No, he
Just
is.
convince me how he isn't.
Football character.
He checks every box that this GM and head coach have told us they look for in players. Again, Adam, I can't sit up here and convince all of you at home watching and listening to fall in love with this kid the way I have. I'm not going to waste my time doing that, okay? I'm not going to sit up here and say that it's egregious to take Jalen Carter over this kid at 6. Jalen Carter is an unbelievable specimen. But when we talk about intangibles and why players do and don't work, one guy is making me ask questions, the other's making me feel real good. So you guys can have it either way.
And for the comments about Aleem McNeil, listen, I love Aleem McNeil. I think
Aleem McNeil is a nobody.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think
he's a nobody. Is he a top 5 defensive lineman?
No, he's
top
not.
10.
He's a depth.
15.
He's a depth piece, especially
20?
Against the run. He's great against the run. But if you're talking about an interior pass rush, Calijah Kancey's the guy.
And you know who? Forget Kancey.
Or Jalen Carter's the guy.
Let's say Carter or Kancey, okay? You have to go defensive interior lineman because it's going to make James Houston, Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Pascal, and all these guys significantly better. Day one. Now again, you want to be the team or the GM that takes Jalen Carter? Be my guest. Be my guest. But I think character matters, especially at these type of positions. What are you looking for in a defensive lineman? This is a guy that's going to get beat up all game. They're going to get pushed around. They play the most physical position in football along with offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to war for 60 minutes with other 300-pound, 6'3", 6'4" offensive linemen that are trying to kill them. And while they're doing that, they have to tackle a quarterback or a running back, or whatever the hell it's going to be. Do I want the guy in the fourth quarter that's going to be overweight or tired or angry or not focused? Or do I want the kid that seems dialed into football, seems all in on himself, getting himself correctly? And may I remind all of you, his defensive coach at Pitt is one of the most admired in all of college football. He comes from good coaching. I think that also matters. Jordan Davis, wasn't he supposed to be the greatest defensive prospect coming out last year? That's what I was told. He was good-ish year one with the Eagles, and that was on a stacked defense. You guys want me to invest my future in players? They have to check the off-the-field stuff too. Because very rarely do the guys with all the intangibles, but then all the off-the-field issues, rarely do they ever get to that ceiling. Sign me up for the 3-star recruit that went to Pitt and put himself in a position to be a top 12, top 15 pick. Give me that kid. Because you know what Aiden Hutchinson was, by the way? He wasn't the number 1 overall rated defensive prospect coming out. He had to work his ass off. Sign me up for the guys that put in the work. That to me is an indicator. Jalen Carter, God bless him, physical specimen, beast. I like to think he's going to be very good in the NFL. The tape doesn't lie. But neither does Calijah Kancey's. You guys can save the shit this morning. I got nothing else to say on Calijah Kancey, Jeff.
I'm just reading some of these comments.
Go for it.
Mike G says Kancey went up against lower-level offensive linemen. He also said Carter went up against SEC best O-line. So that's your deciding factor.
The SEC actually doesn't bring out the best offensive linemen. It's actually in the Big Ten. But, okay. Next. What else?
Look at you.
Last I checked, 3 offensive linemen are going to go in the first round. They're all from the Big Ten. Last I checked.
It's very true. Solomon says, I wouldn't be mad either way. If Holmes drafts Carter, I trust he did his homework. If he doesn't draft him, I trust he did his homework. It's very true. I put a poll in the chat, too. How would you feel about Calijah Kancey at 6? 66% voted I wouldn't be opposed. 35% voted absolutely not.
What are the numbers again? 66-34?
Yep.
The idea that this kid is too small is a lie. He's 6'1", he's 280, and he measured such at his pro day, just like at the combine. There were doubts. He shut them all up. Let's see. How would you feel about both? I don't think both is realistic. Again, Jalen Carter, to me, I get how difficult it would be to pass on him. I get it. But let me ask you this. If 3 quarterbacks go in the top 5 and Will Anderson gets off the board, and at 5 the Seahawks decide to go for Jalen Carter, then what, Detroit? Then what? Let me ask you that. Since you guys want to play that game with me.
Very interesting situation.
Let me ask you that. A coach who can actually handle personalities, an organization that's handled those type of guys before in Seattle, I don't see that as being a long shot.
So in that situation, you have any of the corners, Tyree Wilson or like a Will Levis.
Or Calijah Kancey.
Or Calijah Kancey. And I would argue, I mean, position
so
of need.
let me ask you guys that. What happens if Carter and Anderson go 3 and 5?
I'm considering it. Maybe you try to move back, but if you're stuck at 6 and you can't move back, I'm not taking Anthony Richardson, I'll tell you that, over Calijah Kancey.
God, that, you know, by the way, we haven't talked about Anthony Richardson or any quarterback scenario. I find it funny. It's quieted down a little bit, but man, I would be heartbroken if they take a quarterback at 6. I would be very disappointed.
And I know people want Tyree Wilson. I'm not a huge Tyree Wilson guy. I mean, I get it, but all the injury concerns, there's a lot of stuff I'm concerned about Tyree Wilson. But if they take him, I wouldn't be, livid. But Calijah Kancey, interior defensive pass rush. If it's a need, he won't be there at 18. So it's something you're going to have to think about.